What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Idle Heroes. Today we're here on the not the mid-tier account, the middle-ish account. The second child. Not that it really matters, we're not doing a whole lot of gameplay today. What we're doing is talking about the new events and a couple new changes to the game. So, first things first, I know E5's a deal, we'll talk about it later. I'm gonna do like normal, brush over the events, and I always say I'll try to do it quickly. It never really works out that way, because I'm not good at that. Time management's not my game plan, alright? I'm not good at that. It's not my jam, alright? So anyways, we'll just jump in, try to brush over it fast. Will it work? Probably not, but, you know, whatever. We'll do what we can do here. So don't forget, spin those suckers up if you got these little Lutsy Pops still, because, you know, if you don't, you're stuck with them until you can sell them, which, you know, it's thing. Boom, value packages. Do you want to spend money this week? Pretty much probably no. There's really almost no good reason to spend money this week at all. Mainly because the reward here isn't that great, okay? Aiden is not that fantastic of a hero. He's used in a couple of teams. You have like the Aiden Mim cheese for the end game. We have like an E3 Aiden, 2 E3 Mims, and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the only team I've really seen an Aiden in the last forever. He's just not very good. He's kind of a suicide unit, so he's only really good when everyone's dead and then he dies. It really doesn't work all that well in 90% of game modes, which means Aiden's really not used all that much. Does he look kind of cool? Okay. Does he give everybody the finger in the world? Sure. But he's just not that, he's just really not worth building, I would say. He makes good food, so if you need a shadow food, not a bad deal. I mean, I'm going to finish the event at least once, because I think it's important to always finish it at least once, just to get those orbages out of there. Hot. Orbages are always hot. Love me some orbage action. I'm moving over to the shelter mission. Boop. It's actually a pretty solid week if you're a PvE-oriented person. If you're a PvP dude, well, there's still a little bit of something here for you. The Flame Strike. Oh, I tried to click on it. You can't click on her? Oh, oops. You can this way. Flame Strike. Flame Strike. Is she really that great? No. I've seen a few E3 Flame Strikes with like the E3 Cthulhu builds, and while they were okay for a while, Ada really just poops on everything, and Aspen kind of just helps her poop on everything. Because let's be real, if this lady's horrified or dead, she's not going to do a whole lot of damage, and that's pretty much generally what happens. She's slow, she gets outsped by almost every big nuky damage dealer in the game. She gets kind of destroyed. So in terms of PvP, she's really, I would say at best, mid-tier PvP. And if you're looking at PvE, where you're doing damage versus bosses, you know, the Tower of Oblivion, the Aspen Dungeon, I would say she probably works best in the tower over any other function. That would probably be like the one place she shines the most, because she still probably gets a good chance to do a little bit of nuking if you have your like Cthulhu in one slot, getting those burns stacked up on enemies. I could say she probably does okay in the tower. Outside of that, though, she doesn't really have a whole lot of great utility, so she's more of a food unit than anything, and it's kind of the same with Kamath. Kamath used to be a really good hero. Everyone liked it, like, this guy's PvP OP, he's too good, and he can fly. Look, he goes off the screen up there, like, gone. He's amazing, okay? But he's not, okay? He's amazing, but he isn't. He's the amazing, not amazing Kamath. He used to be good in PvP. A lot of people liked him for that crowd control. It's pretty nasty. His reduced damage is pretty handy as well. But anymore, again, like with the shifting metas and how things are going, like unless you're in early to mid-game PvP, he's probably not going to do very well for you. Again, the Tower of Oblivion, having crowd control is not a bad deal there, but there's a whole lot better units to throw into your team than a Kamath for the tower, in my opinion. And things like the Aspen Dungeon and boss fights, he really doesn't do anything special at all. He's pretty much been turned to food. No one really builds Kamath anymore for like a real team. If you're going to go for PvP, you're better off taking a Jara. If you're going to go for PvE, you're far better off building a Horus. He's just kind of been kicked to the curb. One of the things. Poor Kamath. He's blind, minus the 17 trillion eyeballs that he has. I guess he's not blind. I always thought he was blind, but it doesn't really make sense, does it? No, it does not. Man, can you imagine being Kamath? Like, anywhere anyone ever punched you would be right in your eye. That's gotta suck. Not that it matters at all, but, you know, that would really blow for being in a fight and someone, like, punches you in the back. It's like, oh my god, my eye. Punch you in the stomach, like, oh my god, my eye. You know what? It's just not good. It's not good to be Kamath. Don't be a Kamath. Don't be a Kamath. It's bad news. And this gets into the more sweeter parts of the deal here. We got Heartwatcher. If you guys don't know about Heartwatcher, then you're obviously not PvE aficionados. She's amazing. Okay, Heartwatcher is pretty much required for any top tier PvE team when it comes to boss damage. Not only is she good at boss damage, she's also pretty solid in the Aspen dungeon. Because she has a decent amount of self-sustain with this little passive here. Every time she crits, she heals, which is great, because generally you're going to build her with some crit. It's kind of nice. It works, trust me. It works. Believe me, I don't lie to you most of the time. Most of the time I tell you the truth. But yeah, the big thing about Heartwatcher is she stacks up these marks on your enemies, boop, with her basic attack and active skill. They cap out at 300%. For a 6 to 8 star Heartwatcher, I believe it takes 14 rounds to get to full damage stacking. For a 9 star Heartwatcher, I think it's round 10 she reaches full, and then for an 10 star Heartwatcher, it's round 8 that you get to the full damage boost, which is nice. You could run 2 Heartwatchers if you wanted to, but their marks aren't going to stack past 300%. I do believe they just stack faster, so you'd be at round 4 with 2 10 star Heartwatchers, which is not bad. Still boost your damage, but you still want at least one, okay? 1 10-star Heartwatcher is good for your team, boost your damage by a ton versus bosses, and again, like I said, she does work pretty well in the Aspen dungeon, even as like your main hero. She can actually go pretty far. Outside of that, though, when it comes to PvP, she's largely useless in PvP battles. In the Tower of Oblivion, I mean, she's not awful, but she's not really that amazing either. You'd be better off running something like Demon Hunter, Oberon, Valkyrie, of course, for your tower team, but for a PvE team for fighting bosses, you really cannot replace Heartwatcher. She is the best damage booster your team's going to have. With that said, moving over, we got the old Crucinator down here. Crucinator. This guy's good in quite a few areas. For PvP, he's actually not bad. This last passive here annoys the living balls out of people a lot. Not when he's a 5-star, but when he's maxed out at 9, well, I guess 9 to 10, turns into a 75% chance to stun the entire enemy team for 2 rounds. Cruz has been the bane of my existence in many PvP fights, just because of that passive right there. Getting stunned for 2 rounds early in a fight because you tripped one to half health can actually destroy your run. It does happen. When you get to like the end-to-end hyper-end game where everybody's got like candy canes and magic stone swords, he loses some viability for PvP then because there's so much crowd control immunity just kind of hovering around out in the bushes. But outside of that, he's not only handy in PvP, this passive makes him very handy in the Tower of Oblivion, which is great. But all the rest of what he does, weakening enemies, which is nice, gives your team 50% increased damage against the enemy, which is great. He also reduces armor from the enemy and heals your allies, 2 of your allies, by 1% of their max health, which is really, really nice. He does pretty well. He does pretty well in a lot of areas. So for PvP, he works pretty solid for that stun. It's not bad. Plus, the weaken's pretty annoying in PvP too. It can be. In boss fights, the weaken boosts your damage versus the boss. He has some healing capabilities to boost your team. The armor reduction from his basic attack. He's a very solid dual role unit. Cruz is still, in one of my opinion, one of the better units to build, especially for a free-to-play player, because he does well in a lot of different areas, and he can give you a lot of utility. So don't write off Cruz. He may look a little weird, may have tiny little... He doesn't even have feet. He has no feet. He has stumps. He walks on stumps. Of course, he probably walks on his hands. Look at those things. Those are at least 24-inch biceps. Okay, I can math. Those are like 3-inch legs. It looks like me. Minus he has bigger arms. But whatever. Not important. That's Cruz. Pretty solid guy all around. Moving over to the light and the dark area. I would say in most cases, it's not worth to buy these unless you know for a factoid that you do not have a second dark or a second light hero for the shelter mission. Or not shelter mission. Heroic Miracle when it comes up with profit orbs. In that case, it may be worth for you to dump a couple of these suckers in, throw 2,000 gems to the wind and say, I don't care about you, and get that Heroic Miracle completion. Okay, it's expensive. It is. You're putting some fodders in. You're putting a total of 4,000 gems in if you buy them both, which isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world. But if it gets you those 10 profit orbs from the Heroic Miracle plus the Elite Hero copy that comes with Heroic Miracle, it kind of balances out to being pretty worth it, in my opinion. So it's one of those things that if you really, really know you're going to need it, it's not a bad idea to pick it up. But for most cases, like if you are doing pretty well with your profit orbs, you get those 4-star shards open enough that you got enough 4 stars to fuse into a 5-star light or dark every month, you don't necessarily need to do these. However, Dark Arthdal's been, I guess, buffed. She's pretty good. I don't really care to build one, but, that's because she looks really ugly. But a lot of people have been saying she does really well in PvP now, and even decent in PvE, which I guess is good, because she's been crap for, since she was dropped. Well, no, she was actually pretty decent when she first came out. She was kind of annoying. but then she like immediately fell off to Craptown and stayed in Craptown for a long time. And in my opinion, because she looks the way she does, she's still kind of in Craptown. She's in my Craptown, okay? If I had a Craptown, she'd be there. Anyways, not a terrible build. I've seen a couple of people actually have E5 Dark Arthrals already. I guess they're really banking on her being well. Michelle, again, not a terrible unit, but really not super hyper amazing in a lot of areas. She has crowd control, which is nice. She has some healing, which is nice. And she has some stun utility, which is also nice. Well, it sounds like a lot of good stuff. I mean, it kind of is, but I mean, when you have things like Ada's and Asmodel's kind of rocking the crap out of, light, I mean, Michelle's not terrible, but she's really, I wouldn't say she's a tippy-top tier unit, just she doesn't seem that way to me. I fought a lot of Michelle's, and she usually does not give me many problems. She goes down pretty quickly in most battles. The stun can be a little annoying. The heal's usually not all that bad, because like I said, when you have things like Ada and Aspen dropping percent-based damage, it's kind of hard for the healing to keep up, especially in short rounds of PvP, so, I mean, is she alright? Sure. Is she worth a light build? I would say not unless you've already got 2 lights and you're looking for that good versus evil aura, and you're like, well, who could I throw in there? In that case, I guess, yeah, you could throw in a Michelle, you could throw in an Asmo, you could throw in a Faithblade. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to build a light or a dark unit, I wouldn't recommend probably building either of them as your first one. I mean, Aspen, he's cooler, so always build Aspen. I guess she works pretty well. But in terms of Michelle, Ada and Asmo, immediately better units. With that said, that's pretty much everything of the talky stuff. For the event, that is. But there's also other updates today. One is skill damage now affects damage over time, which is a little interesting. I'm not sure if I have the math right on it, but I'm going to try to go by their formula, which apparently now your damage over time is going to have factor in with your skill damage. So if you have high skill damage, your damage over time also increases by a little bit. So for old Obi-Ron here, he does what? Where's his damage over time? Not over here, it's over here. That's right. Right? Yes, 200% of his attack is damage for 3 rounds. So the formula A is somewhere in the deal. But essentially what happens is your skill damage gets divided by the number of rounds plus 1. So in this term, you'd have 3 rounds plus 1. So 4 rounds, you divide since he has 100 skill damage up here, boop, that'd be 25% extra. So you do like, what, 225% of his attack is damage over time. So it's not like I don't think it's going to be like a massive buff. It's like, oh my god, damage over time needs skill damage now. But it's at least not a totally wasted thing. At least that's how it reads to me. I'm not going to go and strip everybody naked and try to math it out to get it perfectly right, because I just don't care that much. I'm not going to lie about things. But also, the big daddy news, the big mommy news, I really don't like her skin. I really don't. I always hide it, because she doesn't look right. She looks way better like this. Look at that long, flowing, beautimous hair. And you're like, nope. Yes. Nope. Yes. Nope. Yes. Nope. Yeah. All right. You get the idea. She looks better like this. I just wanted to have my whole team with skins on. And, now I don't. So anyways, boom, Ada. She's amazing. But anyways, the new upgrade tiers have become a thing. E5 is now on the board. And a lot of people are like, yay, E5. And I'm like, meh, E5. The reason is E5 doesn't really add any gameplay to the game. It just adds a new upgrade level. So, I mean, you're still fighting the same people in PvP. There's just E5s now. You're still fighting the same levels in the Aspen Dungeon. Even if they added more, it's still the Aspen Dungeon. The Seal Land is like the only place that you're going to get like to see something different for like 4 minutes. Till it crushes your whole soul because it's evil and it does that to people. But really outside of that, like, you'll do better boss damage now and stuff like that, but there's still, like, it doesn't add anything new to the game to do, and that's kind of what I think the game really needs if it wants to, continue to be fun, is you gotta add new stuff to do to the game. If you don't, well, I don't know what to tell you. Probably won't last very long. But as for the skills, boop, there's been a couple of additions here. Now, I didn't notice this straight out the gate, but there's this right here, Vitality, which is strangely enough the exact same name as this one, which is also Vitality, but it is not the same passive, which is strange to me, but what are you going to do about it? This increases the effect of being healed by 15%. I'm not 100% sure how well that's going to play out in a lot of situations. It'll take some testing to see if it's going to be really great, but it may be useful. It may be, reducing crit damage is nice. When it comes to boss fighting, this is almost always the best passive to take for round 2, or for slot 2. But it could have some interesting uses. It may be worth, carrying in. We'll see. This one here is still locked for some reason, which is strange. I'm not sure why. They're like, we'll throw it on there, but we won't let them use it. Oh, dirty us. Good job, you. But apparently, at the end of the round, you remove a random negative effect off yourself. So, depending on, I guess, who you're fighting or what you're doing, I assume this could remove things like crowd control at the end of a round. So it might be really annoying in PvP, but at the same time, it's a pretty important slot having resilience. That heal is nice. I mean, it boosts your survivability by a ton. By an absolute buttload, it boosts your survivability. But in cases where you're fighting things like the Broken Spaces boss, where they constantly stun you, and that's really the only debuff I think they have. Could be wrong there, probably am. But if you could unstun your team with a passive consistently at the end of every turn, that would be really handy, because it would allow you to boost your damage by quite a bit without investing so much in crowd control immunity. So, could be something cool there. Enable 4 brings back the exact same enables pretty much from Enable 1. Exactly the same exact, to be honest. You get the Vitality, you get the chance to go Mightiness or Growth. So you can actually make your units quite a bit faster and still have a decent amount of HP and attack. However, if you run just attack or something, you're obviously quite a bit bigger of an attack buff, or just HP, you'll get quite a substantial amount of health. But having that extra speed is not to be undersold, especially in PvP where speed's actually really important. Getting your units to attack first is kind of a big deal, and it can make a bigger difference having just a few more % HP or a few more % attack. Trust me, getting your crowd control out first might be the difference between you winning and losing. It happens. And then moving down, we've got the old Big Daddy 5 enables. Boop. We've got the Balance Strike, which I guess it kind of balances things, but it also seems really powerful. So in the same vein, it's kind of like Ada's balancing mark. It's like, is it really balanced? And the question is, I don't know. But anyways, your basic attack or active skill, if it crits, is going to restore your HP by 15% of the damage dealt. Otherwise, it just deals an extra 30% of damage. This is going to be pretty nasty in a couple of situations I can see. Things like Aspen, who already gets insane survivability when they begin to start, getting that extra damage boost at the end of, 30-something% life on an enemy. I mean, if you're dropping, 5-6 million damage crits with your Aspen, he's going to be healing by a lot of health, and it's going to be kind of hard to kill the guy, which is handy. I think this will probably work well in both modes of PvP and PvE, like equally well. It's going to be one of those things that's like, this is good. You're going to probably want to run this. Is kind of like Resilience for E3 was. It's one of those things, probably you'll run this most, in my experience, I would. It seems strong. It's going to boost your damage, I would say, by a solid amount, especially if you're using old-fashioned Bade, because Bade never crits. He just gets a flat 30% damage boost on everything he does, so that doesn't seem terrible for him. But for anything else that has even a chance to crit, you got a chance to boost your own healing a little bit, which is nice, and if you don't crit, you're just getting extra damage. It's pretty solid. Moving over, we have the other new one, the Unbending Will, the will that bendeth not. When you take fatal damage, you become immune to direct damage and damage over time for 1 round. Now, this does not apply to marks. So if you have something like an Asmo mark that trips, or a Sleepless's mark that trips, or even, God forbid, a Rosa, that's right, Rosa has a critical strike mark, and it procs, it'll still kill you. However, anything else, if you take fatal damage from Valkyrie's stupid, ridiculous burns that are now probably going to do like 7 trillion billion damage every round, it doesn't kill you on that first round. You actually make it through, which might allow you to cheese through a couple of really awful moments. But I do believe Ada's balance mark still counts as mark damage. So if you drop an active skill and Ada's mark trips and kills you, I think you still just die. Which means, will it have a huge amount of utility? I don't know. It'll be fun to test out, I guess. That's kind of the point, is you get there to test and you can kind of see. But yeah, it gives you kind of a cheat death for a turn kind of thing. Is it going to be a huge thing that makes you go from gonna lose to gonna win? I would say in most cases, probably not. But it can also, hey, if that 1 time out of 10 it actually does lay to win a battle that you normally would have lost, it was worth it then, wasn't it? I would say so. But still, I feel like this passive here is going to be the one that most people run with, because extra damage is just cooler anyway. Who wants to just live? Hit things hard. If you die, whatever, you still hit things hard, and that's what's cool. So anyways, there's your new enables on the E5 business. Could I drop an E5 right now? Yes. Will I? No. Because I got to save something for the rest of the week, because this is Casino Week. You know what I'm saying? And Casino Week is boring as balls. So That's going to be a thing. But to spice it up a little bit, should I spice it up or should I leave it there? That's the question. Should I go spicy? Let's go a little. It won't take, but it'll take a minute or two. Okay, it's not going to take a lot of minutes. We got 49 of these suckers up here. We got a Sigmund on the wheel. If you guys don't know, I kind of want to build a Sigmund over here to help me with my boss battles, because Sigmund's good in boss battles. I like him. Stripping armor's nice. Plus, this would be enough to 10-star him. If I decide I don't want him later, and I want to build something like a Rosa, I can just, put him into an E5 or something, whatever. But we'll just go ahead and drop a few of these suckers. We'll drop a good 40 spins here, see what we come out with. May not come out with anything special. We may come out with Sigmund on the first pull. And 2 orbs. Well, that didn't take very long. And since I don't want to spend 100 gems to refresh, we're just going to call it a day. Look at that. See, I told you it wouldn't take long. Someone out there is raging right now, like, you piece of crap, you dirty piece of crap, how dare you? I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry. I lied. I'm not sorry. But anyways, that's pretty much all there is to talk about today. That's the new events kind of laid out. A little bit of a informational on the heroes, a little bit of a talk about the E5 business, because that's something a little new. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully with the anniversary event, or even a little bit later, they got to drop something new to do in the game. Otherwise, your E5s are pretty much just relegated to PvP and Seal Land, and it's like, woo, yay, it's so great. But really, like, add new broken spaces bosses. I don't care. Add something new. Add some new stuff. Game. But anyways, we're going to call that it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure, smash that thumbs up button to show your support, and I will see you guys in the next one.